And we're coming back to you live from our homes. I'm Sean.
And I'm Zach. I want you to know that was like the one time I was going to join you in your random song outburst. And then that happened.
Nope, just moving right along.
It's fine. Some things never change, I guess. All right.
Some things never do change. Zach, let me tell you what never changes in this world. Um, Pants.
Well, that's not true.
Well, maybe not yours.
Oh. Oh. Hmm. um.
In case you couldn't tell, I've been sick literally all week.
Oh no.
I have been I'm feeling pretty good today. Pretty better. Like Monday I was like feverish and like it was real bad. But today I'm doing quite a bit better, but I will be hacking and coughing occasionally, just for our lovely viewers at home. Just so you
How
know.
dare you?
But I've also had copious amounts of just isolation because of it.
I love isolation.
And just like, yeah, well, it's great. It is great, but it is like tons of YouTube and just like, and now I'm just gonna, I'm losing my mind.
So you're gonna hit the watch later playlist cap. Okay, okay. I see.
No, man, no, because I've been watching it all. You don't understand.
No. You watch things while you add things to the watch later playlist. It's like an art.
No. It's too quick. I watch it too quickly. I watch the video quicker than it takes for the video to
Oh wow.
end.
You put it
Yeah.
on like 10 times speed or something, and
Uh-huh. Because I have that YouTube gives these capabilities to YouTubers. You know, you can get like 2 times speed just by being on YouTube. But
oh
like,
yeah,
for,
yeah.
for the really big YouTubers, for the really popular ones, they give you a lot of cool perks. I don't want to brag. I don't want to talk that much.
Man, I want 10 times speed. That's crazy. So, what's the requirements to get the 10 times speed, Sean? How popular do I have to get?
Well, it's really about it's like, see, they make it seem like subscribers and views and watch time is all that they care about, right? That's all that any
Yeah,
gamer
yeah,
talks
yeah,
about.
yeah.
What really matters is the amount of awards you won from a very specific channel. That channel being Pyramid Planet.
Oh, really?
And you know, like I'm a host in the Triangle award-winning podcast. You know, like
Wait.
big deal.
But I have too.
Yeah, but I run the account.
Oh, but okay. So what would it take to get, say a separate account, access to that award privilege?
I guess I could talk to our YouTube rep about it. I've never even thought about it. He's often asked about you, but I never thought you'd really be that interested.
The pain, the 10 times speed, this whole time. What could have been?
You could have totally got through your watch later playlist.
So what I'm hearing is this is actually again your fault that
What?
I hit the watch later playlist cap because all that time I was wasting watching one video when I could have watched like 10 in that time.
See, Zach, now what you're doing right now is you're placing blame, and I think that's a very good thing to do. But what I think you're doing is you're doing it in the wrong direction. So you're pointing it toward a friend, and
Yeah.
a friend shouldn't be
Yeah,
to
yeah.
blame. I think you should point it toward like a large corporation. I think this is YouTube's fault.
Okay. I'll buy.
know what I mean?
I'll buy. But there's just one problem with your theory there.
Talk me through it.
How do you define friend?
Oh, good point. Someone you use to get money.
Oh, fetch. Okay, yeah, it's YouTube's fault, man. That's crazy. I have a tragic story that happened literally like 5 minutes ago, before we started recording.
Jimmy reincarnated and then died again.
No. This story is much more tragic than Jimmy's.
This is
story.
more tragic than Jimmy. Did you see the
is
T-shirt?
crazy. I did. Okay, no, holy fetch. Okay, I'm actually okay. I'm gonna tell the story, and then I'm going to send you a picture so you can look at something.
Okay.
This is very important. So here's my short story that has nothing interesting or relevant to it, but I'm going to tell it anyways.
My favorite kind.
So I have to do tutoring for one of my classes in the speech lab. I think I mentioned this before.
You have not, but okay.
Oh, I do it every Friday morning. Okay.
Luckily you're an expert at that because I was literally your job for a while, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm such an expert at things,
Yeah.
and unless I don't show up,
Oh.
which happened this morning somehow. So last night at 2 a.m, I checked my schedule for today. Okay, I had a single person signed up for an appointment at 11:20. I'm like, perfect. I will be there. It'll be great. And I ended up waking up at like 7 this morning, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna check again just to be sure. There was still just that one person. So I went back to bed. 11 comes around. I get out of bed. I sit down. There's a message from my professor and a student that's like, hey, Zach, are you here for your appointments? I'm like, excuse me?
Oh.
Apparently, people literally signed up last minute. Like,
Oh.
last minute. I didn't realize this was a thing. So I was like, it's all worked out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see, because normally I get, like, notifications when I get schedules as well. And that didn't happen either. So I was just like, I don't know what happened. So sorry. And I'm like, I'll be on Teams next time for sure. My bad. And it was really awkward.
Totally.
And I'm like, I didn't realize that people did this. Because I've had this.
You didn't realize people do things last minute? Come on, Zach.
Well, no, I didn't realize they could register a minute before. Because I've had this situation before where I had one student, and that was literally the only student I had the whole 2 hours, even though I was on those 2 hours. So I figured there must have been like some sort of lockout time, but no.
No, that'd be too simple.
No, so yeah, I have to make those hours up somehow, I guess. And
so your professor hates you now.
Basically, and you know, it's the end of the semester, so I'll only see him a couple times, so it doesn't really matter anymore. It's all about perspective.
Dude, this is when, like, in like a year from now, you're in Japan, and you go into the job you got at a school, and you go in, and the principal is that professor.
Okay, that would be hilarious. But the funny thing is, we actually made it up on good terms, so it's alright. It seems like it was fine.
Look at him, a communications major. Uses communication.
I know.
And everything works out all right.
I was like, just be super polite, take responsibility, and you'll be solid.
You sent me the picture over text?
Well, yeah. It's on my phone. I'm not going to plug into my phone to upload one image. Who do you think I am? Okay, I want to bring your attention to a few things here. One, the advertisement.
That's yeah.
And then at the bottom, I want you to look at what I was currently listening to.
Dude.
Which happened to be the advertisement episode from last week.
Oh my god.
I saw that and I about died. I was like, they're after me. They know.
That's crazy. Yo.
I'm impressed with
algorithms,
the YouTube algorithm. So
like,
you're welcome to put that on screen if you want, but
oh, it's been up.
Oh, cool.
They're straight up like, yo, this guy. I've never seen anyone look up the words spicy nugs so much in my life. We need to find him something that he will like. These Wendy's ads haven't been working. Let's try something else. Simulate Nuggs plant-based nuggets.
But they're also spicy. It's I'm gonna like. It's kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie.
That's crazy. It makes me wonder about like my mom's ads that she gets, because I know
she
my
probably
mom
gets that same one.
She doesn't watch a ton of YouTube. Certainly, I'm sure she watches some stuff.
Yeah.
but I know she does watch Spicy Nugs consistently, and I'm sure like YouTube just grabs whatever consistency it can find and throws it at you
It's
more and
probably
more,
so
right?
confused.
Yeah, right. So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought it was definitely worth sharing.
Well, thank you. That's I wanna somehow do a ad that looks almost exactly like that for Spicy Nugs that can show up. Just completely
Yes.
false advertising. Like you're like, oh, they're
It's that
selling me.
exact same thing, but with the chicken has the Mac glasses.
Yeah.
That's the only change.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll try to make that happen. I don't know, whatever.
That'd be a good thumbnail.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I'm still tired.
No, man, I'm freaking sick.
You're
Man.
sick. I woke up 30 minutes ago to disappointment. It's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Let me drink some water really quick.
I don't know why, but like I was like, you're gonna drink some. You starting with the W's. I was like wine. What? No, it makes sense. Water. Yeah, water. Definitely water.
Well, wine is great for grapes.
Yes, true.
And time.
Oh, like the spice, or
No, like time, like the concept.
like the circular motions of the universe.
Yes.
Cool.
Thanks.
And with every word, our energy just dropped by like 20%.
That's amazing. Okay.
Sean, do you have a topic today?
I could try something.
Oh, I mean, if you don't, I can BS something.
I mean, well, I've talked with this over with a number of people, and it is actually really interesting. I'm just wondering if I can even.
So you're not
communicate.
even saying I'm the first one to hear such an intelligent thought?
Not at all.
Well, now I'm just
And
disappointed.
it is intelligent because it's not mine. So, wait, let me not go to Google. Don't do that. I'll destroy everything.
You'll turn back into Robo-Sean. The single Chrome tab will destroy you.
You know, we haven't mentioned it, but this semester in every recording, there is definitely like 5% Robo-Sean in every single one of them. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, but I kind of like it.
I think it's fun.
I think Robo-Sean's my favorite Sean, to be honest.
He's the most agreeable,
When he just something about that voice.
Just when he's just talking, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay, so, oof. So let me run this by you.
Okay.
This is similar to our episode on Simone Weil and the concept of.
We're doing
God.
a rerun episode. All right.
It's similar to that in that this is literally just a concept I grabbed from my nihilism.
So you're gonna break me again, is what I'm hearing.
I don't think so. This one's quite different, and in some ways encouraging, and in some ways very devastating. It's both.
Okay.
So this is from an author, a South Korean author named Byung-Chul Han, I believe.
Nailed it.
Probably. I'll put the name up right now. Cool. And the book we read 2 books by her actually, but I liked one of them more than the other. But it was called The Disappearance of Ritual. And basically, here's the basic concepts, and I'll grab what you think about this, and then hopefully we'll have a real discussion here.
Hey, can I rename this book real fast?
Please.
The Disappearance of Confucianism. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. Dude, yeah. So, her argument is, I think it's a she. Wait a second.
You better get your facts straight here, Sean.
The
We might get
author's
canceled.
argument the author's argument throughout the book basically is this: that consumerism and capitalism, we're still kind of in a Marxist mode in the class right now, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
But consumerism and capitalism and the modern world are destroying all types of rituals. And that ultimately is going to destroy society, further segment us, and then it's just going to be the end of everything. Right?
So I have a few questions right off the bat.
Please.
What type of rituals are we talking about?
Beautiful question. That's exactly where I was going to go next.
Perfect.
So throughout the book, the author uses tons of different examples of rituals. She pulls from Christianity, from Hinduism, even just like simple examples where it's like this small village has a small pear tree, and every day people go and sit by the pear tree and maybe don't say anything or they sing together. Like that's a ritual for them.
Okay.
For the author, a ritual, she defines it as a thing, and a thing is very specifically is anything that has a staying power. It makes you slow down and stop. It makes you stop thinking so egotistically about yourself. It makes you think about others and other things. It slows you down.
So what about a ritual for yourself, though?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Because so here, by contrast, a non-thing for her is a cell phone, like a smartphone.
So you
Because
could
it does
not
not
have a ritual with a cell phone?
No, because everything about a cell phone makes you speed up. It's constantly flicking you from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. It's
Okay.
the opposite of slowing down. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I'm following.
Yeah. So anything that helps you slow down and just this is the term she uses constantly throughout the book, and the term is a ritual as communicate or community without communication. For this, I think of like the sacrament at church, where everybody's sitting in a room for like 10 minutes, silent, and
Yeah.
there's like no communication, but everyone is there doing the same thing, right? There's community there, but there's no communication. And then by contrast, again, social media, the internet, that is communication, but no community.
Okay. Interesting.
So basically, throughout the book, it's one of the most interesting books I've ever read, I gotta say. But she jumps from one concept of an old ritual, and they're very broad concepts, and then shows how the modern world has kind of like just destroyed that and turned it into something that no longer has staying power.
Right.
So anyways, there's some ideas.
So right off the bat, I think I have a problem with her definition of ritual in general. But for the sake of this, I'll go for it. I'll accept it. I do. This is like an idea that's also like simply just fascinated me for actually quite a while. I think I've brought it up kind of in passing in Spicy Nugs, maybe, but like we've never had a full discussion on it. I guess we did. Like, what have we lost from the past? Kind of. I do think ritual in this sense. I do think there is actually a lot of that. Especially in the modern day, everything is about going faster and faster and faster and being more productive and more productive. And it's to the point where like old rituals in this case, like slowing down in general, is kind of viewed down upon now.
Mm-hmm.
So does she give any like specific examples that you like latch onto, or?
Yeah. Let me think here. I'm sorry, I read it like last week, so it's
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I get it.
I think here's a major concept, and maybe this will go into what you because you're. Let me ask you this: what do you not like about her definition of ritual? I think maybe I explained it poorly, and maybe this will help. But let me see if this will even target what you're talking about.
For me, and I feel like a ritual, like I'm taking the word ritual in like just a different meaning, I guess. But I understand what you're trying to say with her use of the word. But for me, like, it doesn't matter if something speeds you up, it can still be a ritual. For me, a ritual is just something that is repeated,
I see.
with a intentionality behind it. Um,
Mm. Yeah. I think she would argue on that note. Because this is another phrase she uses in both of her books, actually. But she describes the modern world as like an inferno or a hell of the same.
hmm.
Um, and what she means by that is every single day you get up, you go to work for however many hours, you go home, you sit on your phone, right? That's the hell of the same. That every single thing constantly is redoing everything else, right?
Man,
Um,
you just nailed something on the head with me. Oof. My job in a nutshell. Okay.
yeah, well, and yeah, it's everyone, right? It's literally it's so relatable that idea where this and this is for her this is the cause of depression, this is the cause of anxiety, this is the cause of and this is the really big thing. This is the cause of people focusing narcissistically on themselves. Um,
Oh.
they're shrinking inward, not worrying about other people. And to her, a ritual is going to break you out of yourself. It's going to slow you down, which is totally against what the modern world wants. It's going to help you to slow down and break away from just purely being something that helps produce something more. A ritual shouldn't produce anything in a lot of ways for her. Like, yes, here's an example. Finally, I found an example.
We made it.
Okay, so this book has one of the best arguments I've ever heard for why I should care about holidays. Um,
Okay.
so here's the thing with me and holidays, a lot of times, especially in the past couple of years, although in more recent years it's been a little better, but holidays would cause me some of my largest depressive episodes.
Hmm.
Um, because it felt like time was moving. It was a very specific reminder that stuff was moving on, and I didn't feel like I was moving quick enough. That was a lot of times what it was. It can be
Okay.
different things.
Yeah.
Um, and so for much of my life and continuing still, holidays, I just was like, it's just like most of the time, it's another day. Like we'll still like go see family, it'll be fun, but like it's still just another day, right?
Yeah.
And for her, she's like or a holiday. She calls them festivals, probably because of like kind of the South Korean heritage there. But a festival should be a ritualistic experience. If you're thinking Christmas, it should be about the birth of Christ, not about all the rampant consumerism. If you're thinking about Thanksgiving, it should be about being thankful for the things we have because of how our forefathers brought stuff here and whatever, like stuff like that. Um, and so the focusing on those concepts and creating rituals around those concepts would create some kind of staying power. But what holidays have turned into are events, she calls them. Like literally, it's just an event. And that's what I was experiencing, I think, for the longest time, where it's just another day where I'm going to do something slightly different, but ultimately, it's still part of the hell of the same because it's just another day. And even though I get a
Ah.
break from school or work or whatever, the whole point of it really is just to help you recharge so you can go back to work and work again.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
that's the big thing is like if the purpose of the holiday is to recharge and go back and produce more, then that's not a good ritual. So
Oh
there's
man.
an
So I
example.
have like 12 thoughts in my head
I
right
know.
now.
Please,
Um,
please go ahead.
okay. This is backtracking a little bit, but it's the one that's like really standing out to me, I guess.
Please.
You mentioned the idea of this sameness leading to ego.
Yeah.
Um, and that is like a fascinating topic and a direction I would not have taken this issue,
Hmm.
which I honestly I'm like just fascinated by. I'm ready to go do some research.
Yeah.
Um, but it's something like the more I think about it, I think the more I agree with,
Hmm.
especially because like especially when our jobs at the end of the day it's just about us getting paid, right? Or us getting that promotion, or us moving on to greener pastures, whatever it is. Everything mostly a lot of things work related is about us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like it just makes sense. Like it's weird. Like I don't have like I have no solid like
No, no, and
opinions or anything
like
right now, but like it's like something that I'm like dwelling on, I guess. But
even more than that, she talks about like the different ways that the current modern world causes you to focus inward. And one of the things she talks about is emotions and like the idea of being authentic.
mm,
Um, those ideas are causing you to think purely about yourself. She does not view like the current idea of being authentic as a good thing at all, I don't think. Um, and this is definitely a point that I think is highly arguable.
right,
But she essentially says like in the past the ritual was being polite. You be polite to everyone. It's a very specific set of steps to do so. And it causes you to not focus inward, it causes you to focus outward. Whereas now, the idea of self actualization and being your authentic self is causing people to be like, well, I can just be, it's just who I am. I'm just being who I am. And it causes them to be rude and it's breaking them away from focusing on others. Now, the focus is how can I like be authentic to who I am? And that causes this inward egotistic spiral of narcissism that essentially leaves you alone in the world.
hmm. So
Again, I think that's a point that's highly arguable, and I don't
yeah,
know how well I described it, but I think
no,
it's
no,
an
I follow.
interesting one.
Um, Another thought I had was um is this idea of like an infernal sameness, right? Like
Hmm.
so I like a problem with this sameness idea because like even if we say we all like are looking outwards, helping other people, we're participating in these rituals that don't focus on the ego. If we constantly do these things, is that not just another sameness? Like,
Mm.
so is there a superior sameness we should be aiming for?
Mm. That's a great question. She spends one chapter in the book kind of looking at the other side of the issue and how other people might interpret it, kind of like that. And I don't know if she gives any solid arguments. Maybe I just completely missed it. Um, I think maybe what you're saying there, she might argue that like this the current inferno of sameness. I think the major issue is this retraction and this focus on the self. um I think that would be her argument of what is causing the issues with this inferno of the same, because all of that internalization is what's causing depression, it's what's causing anxiety, it's what's causing people to kill themselves, it's what's causing this rampant consumerism as people continue to fill this hole they're feeling, um
Yeah.
and despite that they're just not finding anything better. Whereas the ritualistic sameness, where even though you're still doing the exact same things over and over again, and it's definitely arguable, like, well, aren't you still doing the same thing? I think that's a great point. Um, it's the focus outward. It's no
Right.
longer trapping you in a spiral of yourself. It's pushing you to look past yourself. Um,
Right. Man, it's such a struggle. I feel like because I haven't done this reading, it's just like it's like bitch, I have so many questions I probably would know the answer to. Because like for me, it's like it's weird that she's focusing on like terms of sameness and rituals when really it just seems like it's just she wants to take a step away from the self and just more of selflessness.
yeah,
which
yeah.
which and then she's using these terms to like try and justify this approach, which I agree with, but I'm not sold they fit.
I
But I like
think
what you said there between like the infernal sameness and like the um ritualistic sameness. I feel like that's like a distinction in my mind. I'm like, okay, yes, I can get on board with that. I'm okay like with a
yeah.
sameness if it's a better sameness.
Well, and this is maybe breaking away from her. This is definitely breaking away from her. This is kind of just tackling nihilism in and of itself. But I think one of the largest problems that people feel, um, and that is found within nihilism is that idea of like the inferno of the same,
Mm.
where everything just every day just feels the same. It's this like it's this mundanity. It's like everything is mundane and boring, and like I'm just trapped in this cycle of living, and that sucks. And there's no purpose to any of it. I'm just continuing, whatever. Um,
It kind of reminds me of I've had this thought recently, but there's this whole idea of the world shrinking, right? Like, and a lot of countries are basically becoming the same country. This globalism,
mhm.
like everyone does things a different way, and part of me is like kind of devastated that like traditions unique to different cultures are kind of being lost in this transition, um, and that I feel like we are probably losing something when we all just become the same. But
Have you heard? Um, that's actually a topic she talks about in the book. But this is almost an aside. But have you heard of the lie down movement in China?
vaguely,
This we talked about this in my nihilism class because someone in that class is from China. He kind of talked about it, but it's not really a movement because a movement implies that like people are actively trying to do something. It's a phenomenon that a bunch of young, like 20 to 30-year-old men now are not getting married, not starting families or anything like that. They just go to work all day and then go home and lie on their backs and stare at their phones until they go to sleep and then they restart. And that's every single day. Um, and that like phenomenon is like because like they can't even afford to start a family. Like they could get married, but they're not their jobs can't afford to like support that.
right?
Um, so like again, just like this idea of like you're like trapped in this cycle. Um, and I guess for her, and this is like the hopeful part, I think, at least it was for me. The hopeful part for me was like, well, there is an answer. Maybe reaching back to those old rituals and those old traditions, like you were talking about. Maybe instead of letting everything in the world become just the same, what if we reached back and we clung to those traditions instead of letting them get absorbed into the sameness, instead of letting them get absorbed into the consumerism, which is in some ways kind of hilarious for us to say based on all the memes we did on Buddhism and stuff. But like
Yeah, yeah.
but like if we reach back to those and let things have differences and let them exist, um and participate in those rituals and let that like de-selfing occur, like maybe that'll help things. Maybe that can help us as individuals, as communities. um yeah, I think that's like kind of the hopeful message, even though the whole book is talking about how that is getting destroyed.
I know, Sean. I figured it out. I know exactly what you've been trying to say this whole episode.
Please.
We need to make a ritual about going to the merch store and take out the merch below. I saw the chance. I had to.
It's so messed up.
I
It's
know.
so screwed up.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
You're welcome.
Dude, that terrifies me, but it's, it's amazing. Since we're plugging things, I just remembered though, and this is totally aside from us. This has nothing to do with us. But my friend Ben, he just released an album today.
Oh, Chris Ben.
And my friend Ben, his name's Ben. But
Yeah.
yeah. He just released an album today. It's called 1111. His artist name is Ocean Marino. I'll put a link to the album in the description, the YouTube one. It's on Spotify and everything else. But I listened to the whole thing today. But I also already had he sent me throughout the summer. He sent me like once a week. He sent me one of the songs.
Right.
And then gave me like a breakdown of what it was like and why he wrote the things he did and stuff like that. So I'm super biased on it, but I do think it's a really, really good album. I think there's a lot of emotion and good stuff behind it. And I think the biggest like thing I can say in defense of it, and like in to encourage people to look at it is mostly like love or breakup songs. And most of the time, I do not listen to love or breakup songs because they don't interest me. But I like almost every single song on this album.
Wow.
So
does Ben
hopefully-
have a merch store we can plug?
He does now.
Go check out Ben's merch store in the link below. Buy some of his merch and get his album.
But yeah, no, check out 1111. My favorite song's probably Wish That I Had Never Met You. Probably the best song he's ever written. Really, really, really good.
High praise.
All the Stars, I think it's called. That song is just really cool. And then Slow It Down. That's the song I played with him at his friend's wedding. But it's just a good song. So, yeah, that's just a random plug. But I felt like I needed to do it because it's a really good album, and I'm super proud of him. And he's my baby boy, and he's all grown up. So there we go. Anything else to say, Zach?
Get us out of here.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us today. I'm still Sean.
And I'm still Zach.
And we'll see you next time, all you lovely people. Bye-bye.
Zach is right. Zach is always right. Sean is wrong. Always very wrong.
Sean is right. Sean is always right. Zach is wrong. Zach is very wrong. Do 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 do.
But I'm gonna talk like you can. I'm so angry and I'm so mad and I pissed my pants and it's all your fault.
I'm really glad I started the recording right then.
Oh man.
Tell me about it, Sean. Why are you so angry? And yeah.
Because you answered the call and then
Yeah.
you just walked away.
Okay.
Like you didn't even care.
Listen. My cat desperately needed me. And so I stood up and started walking away. And then I saw you call. So I answered the call and then walked away.
Like you didn't even
I
care.
could have just ignored the call.
That might have been preferable.
Oh. Oh. Alright, next time I'll ignore you.
Yeah. Well, here's the either way you ignored me. But one way you gave me hope.
I came back like 10 seconds later. I even said, hey, I'm walking away. I'll be right back. If only I was recording that moment. Man.
Honestly, though. There would have been a lot, though. It would have been just so much of my brain.
No, you're right. I ignored you. I'm a terrible human being, and I'm sorry.
So what are you going to do to make it up to me?
Dude, don't worry. Once the podcast goes down, I'll make it up to you.
Once the podcast goes down?
Yeah, because
Like-
we're live right now. Obviously.
Well, I mean, like, goes down.
I mean,
I'm going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move.